Welcome to the OnlyFans Secrets Marketing Podcast. The goal of this podcast is to help both new and established OnlyFans creators learn the basics of online branding, marketing, and promotion to help you make more money with your content and maximize your time online. My name is Richard Lewis, and I have over 20 years of internet marketing experience. So let's get started with today's topic. And that topic is the rush to steal OnlyFans creators' money. All right, so this episode I am generally excited about. And, I've been researching this topic for the entire week, and I'm ready to get down to the nitty-gritty of what is about to happen with OnlyFans. So as the site legitimizes itself, it is going to turn kind of from a niche to a more mainstream site. And with mainstream acceptance comes the people looking to prey on OnlyFans creators. In this episode, we're going to break down, and talk about the latest batch of scams. My research into a site called Ready, Set, Cam, the attempts at Reddit OnlyFans services. And at the end, I'm going to go over a checklist of how to avoid these kind of high-level scams directed at your pocket, at your profit, honestly, at the end of the podcast. All right. So I guess the first question is, why are the scams going to get worse? So I've made an analogy before in this podcast and earlier episodes to gold rushes. And, this needs revisiting. So in the California gold rush, some people found gold. And then basically that rumor got around and they were like, oh, okay, we need to get out to California. So, a couple hundred people then slowly moved out to the area, and some of those people found gold. Then thousands of people moved out to California. And at that point, thousands or hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, you've got a lot of people. And so very few of them found gold. But do you know who always made money? The people selling the pickaxes and the buckets. And so right now, what you're going to have is you're going to have a lot of people who are going to get on to OnlyFans to succeed. And what they're going to find is that there are a lot of people who are going to be trying to sell them pickaxes and buckets. And some of those people are legitimate and other people are snake oil salesmen. So, basically those sort of people are going to start targeting OnlyFans creators because there are tens and thousands of you. There are lots and lots of you out there at this point. And due to kind of mainstream media and what's being talked about, people are starting to catch on that there are a lot of OnlyFans creators. And they also know that you are not typically marketing savvy. So they think they can take advantage. And this is why this show exists, because I won't let that happen. If you listen to this show, you are going to be informed and you're going to know more about marketing than the average OnlyFans creator or just the average person. And, these sort of people, they snake oil salesmen, they move from one, latest fad kind of thing to the next one. And at this point, what people see is they see OnlyFans as that. And it's kind of like they're, like parasites. They just move from host to host in hopes of, success. So hopefully, with this podcast and with information out there, we can prevent this from happening. We can prevent these sort of people from preying inside the OnlyFans community. All right, so let's just talk about a site called Ready, Set, Cam. So this is definitely one of those that needs to be discussed. I came across this company while answering questions on Quora. I had mentioned that I started answering questions on there from OnlyFans creators, and I noticed this person named Max Anderson, who, even though he had posted in March, ended up at the top of, basically the most searched terms, which is interesting. Again, he had a lot of upvotes. There were people who had been on a lot of these, pages for a lot longer, but didn't have the upvotes, but he's there at the top. And what was interesting is that he claimed to have helped dozens of OnlyFans creators earn $10,000 to $50,000 a month. Now, the facts are that there are a small group of people who are making that kind of money. Obviously, those people are in the top 1% and, probably the top 1% of the top 1%. So not a lot of people that you're just going to, stumble over. So that was, a broad claim that he was making in his profile. And what was interesting is that he described himself as a cannabis educator and also a cam girl educator. So I looked, I had to figure out what was going on with this individual. And, what I found is he really didn't have what I would call qualifications, what I would look for in marketing. He works for a company called the Porch Group, which is a NASDAQ traded company, as their director of product. And he graduated from University of Washington, which is awesome, with a degree in engineering. And, I don't take from people's degree of what they have been doing with their lives after college. After all, I was a history major, and I just really had a passion for internet marketing and have spent 20 years doing that. So, I didn't necessarily look at it like, well, he doesn't have a degree in marketing, so he can't possibly be teaching people. It just didn't all sit right with me. And I continued to investigate. And this is the person who has set up this Ready, Set, Cam site. And what I found is that he travels the world, and he traveled the world during COVID, which was very interesting, based on his Instagram. He was just recently in March in Guatemala. He's been in Peru, parts of Mexico, very lavish vacation parts. Again, in the middle of COVID. Very confusing, but I kind of went with it. And then I went over to his website, and you can't really find him on the website. There's no information about him, which, it's a website talking about education for cam girls. I'm sure you're all familiar with what a cam girl is. For anyone listening who is not, this is a person who gets on a cam primarily for men, and people watch them and they get tips, they get paid for doing that. Obviously, a segment of the OnlyFans community, it comes from cams, and that's fine, but not the majority. He definitely has a differing opinion of how OnlyFans works. The way he described it in Quora is that you could somehow, move people along from, cam sites to then get them to subscribe to your OnlyFans. And that if you invested, it's very weird what he was writing about. Like, if you invested $3 per person, and then, eventually they'd subscribe for $5, and you'd, after 4 months, you'd get your money. It was a very weird equation, but that really wasn't existing on the website as much as just cam girl education. But the only thing that was an actual service that he would actually make any money off of was the packages that were being sold to OnlyFans creators. And this is where he gets my attention. So he had these packages on this website, upwards of $6,000 So a package could be purchased for $6,000, all the way down, I believe it was 500, but as I point out in my blog, I wrote a blog about this particular site this week. It just described how, it claimed that the first 3 packages were sold out. Kind of suspicious as they're the smallest packages, but basically getting people to try to go after the $599, $1,000, $6,000 packages. And what they were selling was visits to your OnlyFans page. Very interesting. And where he was stating he was getting these visits from was a page that they created called Ready Set Cam 101. It didn't list out how many people were actually following it. When I subscribed to it for free, you could see very little interaction on it. It obviously names itself after the OnlyFans 101 version of this, which I went over in an earlier episode of the podcast, talking about the most popular non-celebrity OnlyFans accounts. And in that, I talked about Models 101, which came from the OnlyFans subreddit. Now, that has over 200,000 followers. And they obviously list that, which you can do. Obviously, you can list the number of fans that you have. They do not do that. They also had a very interesting review section, which is very sketchy. A content creator named Samantha Ava was the only reviewer that was identified, and she was also on the main page as well. And when I originally went onto her OnlyFans page, she had claimed to be in the top 0.04%, but I was very suspicious about that because she only had 11,000 likes. Now, anyone who's familiar with OnlyFans would know that 11,000 likes at this point in 2021 doesn't usually equate to top, 1% status. For people who are in that kind of range, they usually have hundreds of thousands of likes. So I was a little suspicious about that. And the reviews under these packages, and again, these are packages for thousands of dollars. This is where I say that things are getting a little more sophisticated. They're getting more than just, as I mentioned, during the Let's Discover Me episode, where somebody's trying to get $20. This person's trying to get thousands of dollars. And for what? We're not really sure, but apparently visits to your OnlyFans page. Now, the reviews were very, very odd. As I mentioned, most were anonymous, which I can kind of understand that based off of, what OnlyFans is at this point. Not a lot of people want to put reviews necessarily with their real names, but these were not real. One big thing is I've been in internet marketing for a long time. And way back in the day, there was a whole system of people trying to manipulate online reviews because online reviews would help you rank better in Google. So people were basically spamming Google reviews. They were spamming anywhere they could put reviews to try to manipulate the Google algorithm. And Google and a lot of the review sites figure this out pretty quickly. You could figure out, what is fake and what is real. And one of the big indicators is, where they come in lots, meaning, you're posting 2 or 3 a day, and then all of a sudden no one posts, and then 2 more, because that's the moment when you actually showed up and posted and tried to manipulate the system. These reviews do follow that. There were 2 on April 30th, 2 on another day as well. I list this out with pictures on my blog at seobounty.com/blog. The name of this blog was Ready, Set, Scam, the rush to steal OnlyFans creators' money. So you can check that out. I would love for you to read that and